Hi guys, PJ here. Today we are taking a look at an Xbox Series X. Yeah, you've all seen them before. This one is 2 years old. It's a release date model one, so it came sort of release time, and we're having a look to see if it needs cleaning after that time. This is basically sat plugged in on a TV shelving unit and not moved for 2 years. This is actually my wife's console and is used daily, so I thought it might be time to start checking it out after looking behind it and sort of seeing this, well, mess. I mean, it is a bit, you know, not too great, is it? There's quite a lot in there. So we're going to take it apart just like we did with the PS5 one that I did a few weeks ago and see exactly what is going on with it. First things first, we've got to remove this little sticker here. This is your, basically if you open that and it's voiding the warranty, but seeing as this is 2 years old, it doesn't matter. It's just a sticker, so it's just a case of sort of pulling it back so you can access the screw underneath there. So we put our Xbox on a soft mat so it doesn't get scratched in any way, and we are looking at this. We've got a very tiny flat blade here. Sometimes these little stickers can be an absolute pig to lift up, especially one that's 2 years old and never been off. There we go. Let's pick that one up out of the way. A little dint in it there. We'll pop it back on to cover the screw when we finish. So we'll put that back safely out of the way. We've then got a very, very tiny screw here, which is basically it's like a little Torx bit. It's the same size as they use on their controllers. So if you've got the controller size star bit, if ever you've taken a controller apart, you have got the right size. So it's basically a little star. Look, I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There you go, a little star drive there. And we undo the star drive. Take the screw out. Any little grub screw, put that to one side, somewhere safe. Thought I'd better quickly show you the bottom of this thing. This is the stand that it stands on. So there's an awful lot of dust and dirt build up there. Can't be good for it. Now this is standing on it's actually standing on like a surround sound subwoofer, so it's a flat wooden surface it's standing on. It's not standing on carpet, and it's still picked up all of this gunk all over it. So we've got to get that out really for the longevity of the console. Next up, using a little plastic leverage tool like this. You can get these from most car shops or hardware accessory store. If not, if you've got something plastic with a flat end, it will do. Now before we go popping too much plastic away, there is actually a hidden screw underneath the plastic. So it's right there, look, on the sticker. So you can sort of feel it. If you press your finger on it, you'll be able to feel it, and then obviously use the same screwdriver to undo it and remove that screw. So let's take that out right now. There we go. See, this whole back panel ends up coming off, and there we go, that's released the tension on it nicely. Leave the screw in there underneath the plastic. It's no odds, or you can take it out, it's up to you. We pull that off now, complete with all its dust and dirt. There we go. Look at this, lovely. Not. Look at that. Oh dear. And finally see inside. Shall we have a sort of close up of this, guys? Look at this. Yeah, that's 2 years. 2 years worth of dust. And believe it or not, a clean household. So yeah, it's not, you know, you see on YouTube some cockroach infested messes. No, this isn't it, guys. This is kept clean, but it is pretty bad. Look at that. So we're going to have to pull that out now. You take the whole assembly out on one of these, the whole thing sort of slides out, and you can sort of clean them pretty easily. Just let me get some of the outside dust off and I will do that and show you. Okay, I do actually believe somebody like the Terminator screwed that in. That's how tight that was. So you've got to be very careful you don't strip these little star threads in the centre here. That was ridiculously tight. Cannot stress enough how tight that was. Okay, now we can slide our fan out. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that great? Yeah. Nice. Give that a thorough cleaning shortly. We'll get some alcohol wipes and some cotton buds on it and make it basically look like new. Let's pop that to one side out of the way and see if we can check out the rest of it. Because like I say, it has gathered down the bottom here. So we're going to undo, if we can see them, that little screw there. Hope it's not as tight as the last one. No, it's not. It's good. Take that out, put that safe. Try and keep them in some sort of order so you know where they've come from. That's the ideal thing to do with one of these. Now we should be able to basically get some movement and get some of this dust out. Series X has some screws hidden under the bottom plate. So underneath here is some screws hidden, holding this plastic cover on, holding the whole thing together. There's a locking mechanism for the plastic plate here, which you can't see because, well, it's completely covered in crud. But basically there's a little flap, and basically you pop it up like so and then twist the plate off, which is easier said than done when it's completely covered in dust like it is. It doesn't seem to want to move because it's absolutely covered in gunk. Yeah, after quite a lot of force, there's a little tab that I've sort of pulled up, and then there's a slide here, and I ended up basically putting the little screwdriver behind the tab and sort of pushing it around and pulling it at the same time. So now we can get the cover off. Again, also covered in, 2 years worth of crud. Let's put that to one side. If I turn it over, you will see all the screws. There we go, quite a lot of them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, 3 green ones and 2 black ones there. Let's get those undone. And we should be able to slide the assembly out then, and obviously get to cleaning the thing, which is why we're originally here. Let me move that over so you guys can see. So we've got this one here, again, over tight. Gosh, that is tight. These are grub screws, bear in mind. They're not, supporting ridiculously heavy things. Okay, I mean, it's probably heat over the years, it's sort of built up. Let's put that to one side. That is the same size as the other ones, which is nice. You can now pull the plastic cover out, give that a clean. It's even on side, look, it's all ditched as per usual. Pull the metal plate out of the way that covers the connectors. There's the connectors to the disk drive. That is literally the disk drive which slides out. And we can also remove this one over here. God, they're all really tight. There we go. Let's just get that one. Put that to one side. Some green ones. Well, they're a bit looser. The green ones aren't too bad at all. Remember where they all came from is sort of pretty important. Now they're quite loose, those green ones. Let's take those out. And this one. Okay. We've got our cable to remove that basically connects it to all the controls on the front. So we're going to have a look at that before we pull it out. But before we do that, let's get the disk drive itself out. Now, little pliers are probably useful for this, especially when you've got dust absolutely everywhere still. Let's see if we can wiggle these free. There we go. 1, pop that out of the way, and 2, pop that out of the way. Disk drive will slide out now, or should do if it's not gummed up to the nines. There we go. Take that out. Lovely. Put that safe. Now, if you can see down inside where I've just removed the disk drive from, you can see why it's important to strip these things down and, get the airwaves clear. On an Xbox, the fan at the top, the rotation of it actually pulls the air from the bottom, from these holes, and pulls it all the way through the system and then out the top. If the bottom holes are clogged, especially if it's been sat on carpet or something, it can't do that. Now, this one is semi-clogged. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still perfectly silent. You wouldn't have known it was this full of dust, but, it really is. It's, an utter mess. So we need to get the airflow back again. Otherwise, in the future, you're looking at expensive repairs. I can already see, looking down here, where the power supply is, this is the air intake for the power supply. I can see dust building up all on there. I can also see dust building up on the heatsink itself, which is down there. See all that dust? It's not looking good. Now comes the tricky part of taking one of these apart. these two connectors. These are very, very delicate, and they're both open in a different way. This one, the big one, has got a locking mechanism where you put your little screwdriver underneath the tab and push up, and you'll hear it click, and then you can pull it out. This one, however, you've got to put your screwdriver on top of the connector and push it to release it. So in other words, if I just, there's like a metal shiny bit. If I push down on it, there you go, and pull. So it's quite a strange locking mechanism. Let's pop that one out of the way, and let's see if we can get this one while we're at it. Click, there we go. And pull that one out. That's in well. Ooh, I didn't like the sound of that. It's stuck, it's got sticky stuff on it. And it's not been out ever, so it's sort of stuck there. If you damage one of these, you are looking at a new ribbon, so you got to bear that in mind. And it is stuck really well. Check that out. Look at that. Wow. There's the connector. There we go. That's intact. And then down here we've got this yellow tape that we need to lift gently. I mean, these come to bits a lot better when they're brand new. When they're old and they've had some heat on them, they're substantially more difficult. But you cannot break these connectors, guys. You've got to be very, very careful with them. There we go, move that out of the way. Finally, because let's face it, this is a bit more complex than the PlayStation. We can now remove it. There you go, check that out. Let's put that to one side. And then show you this heatsink, and this is why I've gone to this much trouble. Look at that. It isn't good, is it? It's not pretty. And also the power supply. It's got like a layer. You see that there? Look at that. So, I mean, we'll get a can of compressed air, spray for all this shortly, and sort of clean it out as best we can, you know, while it's in bits. But it is worth doing. Okay, let's get to cleaning now. I recommended, like on the PlayStation video I did, something like a little shaver brush to do all the grills with. So let's get one of those on the job and get it cleaned up. Okay, so again, we're using just a little stubby brush, and it's basically a case of getting all this gunk. Look at that. 2 years. I wonder how much longer it would have carried on before it started doing overheating errors. There we go, if we can just get all that out, like so. There's some down here. Like I say, we'll get some compressed air on it and give it a proper blow through with it all. This is just to get the most of it off, as it were. There we go, that's better. Same for the fan, it's all over it, look. Nice. There's a lot of dust, I'm sure you'd agree. Okay, I'm going to continue cleaning this up a little bit now. Fast forward to reassembly. Okay, most of the dust cleaned out. I did say most, you can never get all of it. So we're going to try and carefully, you've got to watch those, pop this back together again. Watching these connectors, because they are like springing in the way all the time. And if you catch one, you're going to be so sorry. Let's pop that in. It's got like locating dowels, so it sort of sits in the correct area. It sort of clunks into place, and you know you're all good to go, sort of thing. Cleaned up the disk drive. In actual honesty, we've never ever used the disk drive on this particular Xbox. We're fully digital, so this has never ever been used. But all along the edge here was absolutely thick with dust. I'd say it had 4 or 5 millimeters of dust where it had just gone through the hole. So again, you know, it's worth cleaning. Now again, it's got some little lugs, yeah, and the little lugs go towards the assembly. So Basically, they go into slots in the front of the case. You'll feel them sort of seat themselves like so. Let's get that correct. There we go. I'm just going to have to flip it over just to make sure they're right. Connectors back on. These are the easy connectors. Those other two that are a pesky pair. These have got lugs each side, so you can't put them the wrong way around or offset them. You know, they're only going to go in one particular way. Now let's do the really, excuse me, annoying ones. Let's get the yellow tape up first, guys. Put it back as OE as possible, yeah? That's the plan anyway. I mean, at 2 years old, well, it's over 2 years old now. It's not going to be OE, but we can have a go. Pop that one in, that seemed to sit quite nicely. Put the little locking tab. You notice I'm pushing down on the tab. There we go. That's in. Lovely, nice and secure, all good. And then we've got this little one, which I do believe is actually the hardest one. Like I said, we push down on that tab. And carefully, and believe me, I'm being careful, that felt like click, so I think that's good. There we go, yep, that's in. Nice. You do have to double check with these guys, because otherwise you'll have all sorts of problems. It won't power on, your power button won't work, your eject button won't work, all sorts of stuff won't work, and you'll end up taking the back off again to double check them. So they are worth having a good look at, making sure they're sort of correct. Okay, we've got our plastic assembly, which I'm just going to quickly blow off with some compressed air. A little metal cap that you've got here, just so you know which way round it goes. The foam sort of goes round here, and then there's a strip of foam that goes here, so it's that way around. You sort of position it, and it sort of can't go the wrong way. So let's pop that in, and then pop this bad boy in. There we go, let's get that positioned. That sort of secures everything and gets it right, and when you put your screws back in, that's going to be nice and tight, which we can do now. Put that screw back in. So we grab one of the, let's get a screw from the actual console, that'll help. Got a few lying around on a mat next to me, and that's fatal because you sort of pick up the wrong ones if you've had loads of these things in bits in the past. Okay, let's pop that in. Take a lot of PCs apart and do a lot of sort of PC repairs, so I've always got screws and bits and bobs lying around everywhere. Okay. That's that one. There we go, click. That sat nicely, that did, after that being put in. Now I can carry on. Now let's put this troublesome plate on the bottom of it after we've got the green ones in. You can see the little locking tabs I was on about with this plate. Yeah, they're like switcheroony things, but we've got to put our green screws back in first. Let me just centre that up for you. There you go. We've got, if we can actually see where they're going. Just going to have to turn it around again, guys. Last one going in, that's all three of them. So it's now physically bolted to the case. There you go, you got your two at the bottom here, and then one at the top, green ones, and we've got our black one there. We've just got one more black one to put in just here, if you can see that one, and then we're ready to sort of start looking at the fan assembly. Backing plate going on, or rather mounting plate. This is the stand part of it. It'll only go one way, so the locking tab that we had trouble with, I can just quickly move the camera, that one there, look. There we go. That has to be lined up first, so we've got there you go, a tab there, look. It's got like a grooved line, and that goes to this piece. So we've got to sort of line that up roughly with it. There we go. And then, wow, that locked in a lot easier than it came off. So that's done, that's locked in. There we go. Pop that back down. Now, of course, the fan, which is now nice and shiny and clean, he says, with just a little bit of dust on it. There we go. Much better than it was, I'm sure you'll agree. Right, let's pop this back in its kind of like runners. So you can't really get this in the wrong place. It just sort of slides in. And we've got our fan connector here. So carefully, without too much pressure, you want to snap this off. There we go, just click it in. Make sure it's in. Yes, it is. Lovely job. And we've got the ridiculously over tightened screw to go back in. Like so. Tighten that up. A lot of people undo these three so they can put LEDs and stuff like that in the top. You know, I've seen them with green LEDs because the top of the fan's green. So if you're thinking of doing that, you know, it's not too hard, but there is a different type of LED that you can get that basically, with the cover on, so it's intact, plugs in a USB and then clips in this oval here, and it basically lights it all up. So if you're going to do any mods, you know, you can do it without taking them apart. There is certain ones where you don't have to take them apart to put LEDs inside them. I probably recommend that, guys, because, you know, you only want to take one of these apart if, you know, you're cleaning it as such like this. You don't really take it apart for no reason. You don't want to risk damaging what is effectively a £450 console, do you? No. Well, I certainly wouldn't want to risk damaging it, but there we go. Make sure your little tabs are pushed in all the way around. You don't want them sitting over the edge. You want them in, tucked in. Click, click, click. There we go. Tighten up your little hidey invisible screw here that's behind this sticker. They do love to hide stuff, don't the manufacturers? Don't want you servicing it yourself. Good grief. That would be unthinkable. Let's try to save some money. I'm sure they'd rather let you burn it out and buy a new one. Anyway, I digress. Let's get that back in. There we go. These holes are incredibly hard to get the dust out of. I used a cotton bud in them, but it's still not, you know, perfect, as it were, if you're a perfectionist. And there we go. That is reassembled. A lot of the crud has ended up on the floor, but even so, I mean, you can see how much dirt has come out of this thing. It's astronomical. Guys, I really hope that was helpful for you so you can keep your Xbox Series X running a lot longer and prolong its longevity. You know, if it was helpful, brilliant stuff. Like I say, there is a PlayStation one on my channel as well. I appreciate you watching, and bye for now.